Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode for a number of reasons. Number one, I love interviewing people when they can share their journey, but also two big things that people really need assistance with or help around how to be a great leader, but also making sure we have the right mindset in order to do so. So, Casey Rossi, welcome to today's episode, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here.
So before we dig into the meat and the guts of the episode, for those that aren't familiar with you and your work, why don't you talk a little bit about how you assist people, but more importantly, what was that catalyst moment for you that has led you down the path that you're currently on?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I help leaders and high achieving entrepreneurs really understand their mindset, their emotional intelligence, and scale their business in a way that is going to be aligned for them. So there's going to have long-term sustainability. And I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. So it's been quite a process and a journey. And I would say that really there's power in perseverance. I did 9 different businesses in 4 years, and the 10th one is the one that kind of took off and, kind of put my business partner and I on the map, so to speak. And we ran that 7-figure operation for 17 years. And what I saw when I pivoted from that, when you talk about the catalyst moment, what I really saw in that is a lot of opportunity for personal growth because we bring ourselves with us wherever we go. And when I branched off into coaching, I didn't have my dynamic business partner. So I wanted to do it on my own. And I really saw a lot of gaps there and room to optimize, and also reflected on my mindset where I really felt that you had to play into the hustle culture and that grind it out in order to be successful. So that really kind of opened the doors up to a new way of doing business, one that was definitely more, just alignment with my core values and, the sustainability.
So this whole, hustle, grind out mentality has become, more and more prevalent on social media. And I speak about often with my wife how I have a significant love-hate relationship with social media. I enjoy it because it's a way to stay connected to the people that you're connected to. But on the other side of that, there's so many people using it in a very divisive way where you're watching the highlight reel of someone's life. And I always correlate that to SportsCenter. For any sports fanatic out there, they're not showing you all of the turnovers and the fouls in the basketball game. They're showing you the highlighted version of that game chopped up into 35 seconds so you can get through the entire thing. And I feel that's what's going on a lot with social media. And again, people kind of get addicted to this hustle and grind it out mentality where, I'm on the camp with you where I like to work smarter and not harder.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing is, over the last 3 years, the less that Nancy and I have worked, the more our income has gone up. And it's hard for people to conceptualize that because I come from a background where I was used to working 80-hour weeks. And yes, I was making 6 figures, but if you break down the hourly rate that it was, I had to work to create that, it wasn't worth it. So for that entrepreneur that's listening to this, that is kind of caught in that crossroad between, hustling and grinding it out and that FOMO, if I'm not on social media all the time, I'm going to miss an opportunity. What's your clear message to that individual that's feeling that way?
Well, I think it's really great to step back. I think this is a really great time of the year to do that, as well as we're launching in to 2022. But it's a great opportunity to take a look at what's working and be really intentional about where you choose to spend your time, not only as a consumer, but a content creator as well, and really check into what's working, what's getting the leverage and traction for you, and what's lighting you up. It goes back to that alignment piece, because I think so many people, like you mentioned, get caught up in the trap of, this is what I should be doing. This is what this expert's framework is saying to follow, but does that fit with me, my personality, my business overarching plan and goals? So I think that that's really great, because I think many times, especially as driven entrepreneurs, we create this machine and then we become kind of like this piece of it. And all of a sudden we're like, wait a second here, like, who's working for who? I created this for freedom and flexibility and to have an impact and creativity. And I think oftentimes it becomes really about our to-do list and we lose ourselves. So I would say to definitely take a look and tune within. I'm a huge proponent of using our own heart, wisdom, and intuition to get the answers, and ask yourself what's lighting you up and what's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Kind of get connected back with your deep why, and then take a look at what's actually getting engagement on the platforms that you're even doing, because many times you can slice and dice it in a way that's going to save your bandwidth, and really just double down on what's working and be really honest with yourself and willing to let go of what is just not bringing you the results or joy.
So I want to get your opinion on something. So I think this is the parent in me feeling this certain way. So as social media has become more prevalent, and in some cases the only way of really getting visual online, there's a lot of people that will do things for likes, for comments, for views.
Sure.
And you and I being in this coaching space, we do see what a lot of people are doing, and you see female and male individuals doing whatever it takes to get people to notice them, whether it's overexposing themselves, showing more skin than they should, doing things for the shock value or attention, so to speak. As a female business professional, as someone who is an expert in their craft, how does that make you feel, or what's your opinion on the way that you see certain entrepreneurs and individuals using social media to gain that attention, just to get people to look at what they're doing at all costs, at what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is definitely kind of like this epidemic where people are trying to one up and collect those likes and shares. So we are definitely seeing that, but I'm a believer that our vibe attracts our tribe. And so in that, it may, get you followers in the short term, but how are you going to authentically show up and hold that consistency if it's not in alignment to your core values, if it's not something you can truly be proud of? And it's very easy to see how you can get caught up in that, because, I once had a coach tell me, like, no one's going to pay for soul design. That's not sexy enough. Right. And so you hear these little voices or these experts talking about like what's sexy enough, whether you said to show skin or, the marketing hooks or the clickbaits and all of that stuff, but it's going to be like a short fizzle. And I think for the person who is willing to put in that perseverance and go the long haul, it is really about attracting people that gravitate to you, your message, authentically showing up. And Scott, really, I think, especially when we have experienced COVID and all that we've had to go through and all of the challenges, deep down, people are really looking for that authentic connection, really authentic connection, not the surface. And they may just be in this habitual loop because there is those dopamine hits from all the likes and the shares and all of the things, but that is not giving them true fulfillment And at some point, they're going to hit the wall and realize, like, I need to do this in a different way so I can feel better and I can make actual long lasting connections and relationship.
So, that brings me to my next uh, point, or something that I want to touch on, is this word expert. And I think it's very loosely used nowadays because everyone almost self-coins themselves experts now. I'm an expert in this, I'm an expert in that. And I think you and I both know, the 10,000 hour 10-year habit, or, when you get enough results for other people, you can use that term. And people coined me a LinkedIn expert. I didn't. People just, oh, I heard you're the LinkedIn expert. Oh, and it, again, that was just through word of mouth for what I was doing for other people. So what's your feeling on this word, quote unquote, expert, that everybody is using? Because you and I both know there's a lot of people using it, and they use that word to sell a product or service that they have. And there's a lot of people out there that are investing in these types of programs and then not getting any of the results that they want. So what's your feeling on the word expert, but also for those individuals that are listening to this, that are looking to make that next investment in something?
Absolutely.
What's your advice for that person and what they should look out for?
For sure. I think that when we have a term that becomes trendy, it gets overused and it gets misused. And so those are my feelings with expert. And I feel for someone just with anything, and especially now with the great resignation, and we're seeing like a flood of new online businesses. And like you said, new experts and, even business coaches and other coaches, especially when it's a non-licensed profession, we have to even sleuth it out a little bit more diligently. And again, we have to use our intuition. Does it pass a smell test? What's my gut instinct on this person? And I think a couple other things too, like check out their social media profiles. Yes. Check out their website. Yes. Like do your own market research when you're looking to hire somebody. Really ask yourself, do they embody the qualities that you want? Because it's not just about, oh, I'm making 100K months. It's not a metrics game. Now you're even getting people sharing their P&L statements. So you are getting some ways to validate. But I think more than that, for me, it's really about, do they embody the qualities that I want? Have they reached the destination that I want? And who else is talking about them? And how legit are these testimonials? Like, is their first name, last name, position, link to their website, headshot? I mean, for me, really, I get my little investigation hat on because I want to then track them down and see what their business looks like. For example, if it's a business coach that has testimonials, what kind of success and long-term success? Because I'm not just looking at somebody that's hit 110K month. I really want to see, how long have you been in business? What was your experience like with this, organization or person? And what are your feelings now after you're like fallen out of your enrollment period? What are your feelings now? So I really think it just comes down to doing your homework and not getting sucked into that highlight reel like you talked about, or a glossy website, because let's face it, we can all look pretty slick with the kind of software and technology that's available to us at a really low price. I mean, years ago, right, it took thousands and thousands of dollars to invest in a really great digital space on the web. You can pretty much in a weekend have a pretty slick website up. So we have to dig a little deeper and put that time and energy in so we don't get burned.
And I totally agree with the whole smell test. Nancy and I talk about that all the time. If it stinks, it's probably not a good thing. But the other thing is that, Nancy and I always speak about, put yourself on the other side of the computer, right? What is someone going to look at first before they decide to engage you or even want to work with you? And they're typically going to look at your social media, as you said. They're going to Google you. So I always tell people, Google yourself, see what comes up. And if nothing comes up, that's not a good thing. But also I lean on LinkedIn a lot, because LinkedIn on your personal profile is where you can gather personal recommendations, which are by choice. So it's literally someone has to fill out a form and write a recommendation and then send it to you to be put on your LinkedIn profile, that is the best kind of recommendation you can get, because that's where the credibility is. And when someone goes to mine and they see close to 500 written recommendations of people that I worked with, the credibility is there. And it's taken time to get to that. Didn't happen overnight. That's 8 years of working with people. So, and obviously I've worked with more than 500, but not everyone, will write one for you or take that step. But, I'm grateful for the ones that did. But the bigger thing is making sure that you invest within yourself in someone else that has a proven track record. And, part of what we teach in our expert authority, group coaching program is, what are those things that you can do to set yourself apart from other people? Whether it be a podcast, a book, a blog, a newsletter, optimizing social media, because again, there's a lot of coaches out there. And just like you said, when it's an uncredited or unlicensed realm of business where, people can go through any course they want and become a coach and say, well, I'm a coach now. And so, I wanted to kind of stick on that because, there are a lot of mindset coaches. There's a lot of leadership coaches. There's a lot of LinkedIn coaches. And, people ask me all the time, what makes you different? And obviously I have my own value to share to that. So if someone was to say, Casey, you're a mindset and leadership coach, what really makes you different from other people out there? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Scott. And I think for myself individually, it truly is my soul essence. And it's that I walk my talk. It's that I have put the time in of 3 decades and doing everything from a brick and mortar business model all the way to virtual coaching right now in this time. So I've been through a lot of the behind the scenes, and really on my podcast, that's one of the things that I love is I share those behind the scenes. So people see the nitty gritty and the bumps in the road, not just that, linear version of what success looks like. I think the other big piece is my approach is very integrated, where I'm not just looking at metrics, but I'm really looking at the masculine essence, which we absolutely have to respect, which are the analytics and the metrics and all of those linear frameworks. And I combine that with the feminine energies of intuition, fluidity, really getting in touch with our heart wisdom. And that synergy is power. And so for me, I bring an integrated approach where we can really honor both of those pieces in a yin yang format and cultivate something that's not just financial wealth, but holistic wealth, where you're optimizing your physical, your emotional, your spiritual. You are really optimizing multiple areas in addition to finances. And I think for me, especially because my focus is really helping entrepreneurs and leaders, is many times when they get a mentor or a coach, they're helping them earn X in Y. And that is just such a small part of the picture, in my opinion, because we are multifaceted individuals bringing our whole self to whatever we do. So we have to really optimize each one of those areas, starting with energy, vitality, and all of the things.
Now, crazy enough, we now move into our 3rd year of this pandemic. Crazy to think that, all of 2020 and all of 2021 were spent in a pandemic. And again, it's still progressing. And I don't think anyone has a prediction of when it's going to stop. But, for me, I always overshoot and hope that it's not the way that it is. So I already mentally prepared myself going into 2022 that it's going to be like this for most of the year, but hopefully I'm wrong. Whatever your belief is, obviously these last 2 years have been very interesting. They've been challenging for a lot of people. They've been beneficial for a lot of people. And a lot of people are hopeful that things are going to change. But in my opinion, yes, things are eventually going to change. But my other opinion is that business as we know it has forever changed. There are businesses, as you mentioned, that have been created that people aren't going to go back to what they were doing before. They're going to stick with what they created. Where do you see the online business world going now that we're into 2022 and things are continuing to grow and expand, and as a coach yourself, what's your best advice that you could give someone listening to this that is either in the middle of making the transition still of going from what they were doing before to being online, or they're online but they're looking to make that jump? What's your best piece of advice for someone to really take advantage of the time that we have now?
Yeah, absolutely. Such good questions. So the first one, what I feel 2022 is going to look like is absolutely more online businesses, more competition in every genre. And so, let's face it, we truly are living in the box. And so a couple different things in that. One, to create boundaries so you have balance no matter what stage you are, because we really need to have, I know sometimes it's laughed at when people talk about the work-life balance, but it is a real thing and something where I feel like we actually have to make self-care sexy so we can have the sustainability, because our businesses are online and so many of our interactions are virtual and going to continue to be virtual. So that being said, really defining who you are and getting so clear on the problem that you solve is going to help you cut through the noise. Are you going to be able to eliminate the noise? Absolutely not, because as the marketers get smarter and hack our psychology, it's going to take so much more discipline to choose where we spend, how long we spend, and the voice and message that we want. I know you're big into brand. I think that that's huge and important. So, how can you consistently stay on brand in your messaging pillars, being so targeted to your ideal client's problem, and answer the questions of why you, why me, why now?
I love that. And I agree wholeheartedly that, it's becoming the wild, wild west, and people are constantly trying to figure out new and inventive ways of making themselves stand out. Now, as we start to kind of wind down, as far as the mindset and leadership piece, mindset is something that's talked about fairly often. And I always and still truly believe that the 6 inches between your ears either hurt you or help you. And it's really up to you. As a mindset coach, what do you feel is the biggest shift that someone needs to make to really start turning the knobs of their mindset in that direction that they want to go towards to really achieve those things in their business?
I think it's absolutely commitment, because you are not going to see transformation overnight. And I think that it's about growing up and letting go of the need and requirement for instant gratification. Because if you really want something that is going to give you a massive return on investment, it's time, energy, consistent habits, right? And again, these are things where many people will turn a deaf ear, like blah, 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 but I really want the shiny thing. And so it's really about kind of saying to yourself, it's time for me to kind of step into my power and put in the work.
I always say that if you don't have patience, you don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
No doubt.
It's a roller I mean, Darren Hardy, wrote two great books, The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster and The Compound Effect. And they both go hand in hand, because it's that daily consistent activity time over time. It's just like investing. The compounded interest creates wealth later on, just like an entrepreneurship, but it is a roller coaster ride. We always used to jokingly say, what's the first thing that you do when you get into a roller coaster? You put that safety bar down and you hold on for dear life. And the same goes on that entrepreneur roller coaster. You got to put that safety bar down, because there's going to be ups, downs, twists, turns. You're going to be going at hyper speed at certain points. You're going to be kind of slowing down and climbing up that mountain, and then you may tumble down at one point. So I completely agree with that. Now, for the people that want to learn more about how you do work with people, programs, courses, tell the audience a little bit about how you specifically work with individuals, who the best type of client out there is to work with you, and how they can get connected with you.
Yeah, awesome, Scott. Thank you so much. So there's a couple of different ways. You can find out all the information at kcrossi.com/shine. And there's various stages. It depends if you just want to dip your toe in and have like just confidence and clarity. There is an opportunity to plan out your quarter. So we do some strategic planning. So we have like 90-day planning sessions, but my signature program is called the Soulprint method. That is a 6-month one-on-one partnership. We really dive deep into mindset, emotional intelligence, business strategy, all the things really to scale in a way that is really going to not only be in alignment with your soul, but be sustainable. And for me, I really work with entrepreneurs, leaders, and CEOs who have dabbled before, but are ready to go all in with somebody that has this integrated approach and are, like we talked about before, like ready to do the work and do it in a different way, do it in a smarter, more efficient way. And I think the mindset piece here is so very important because it's about making your mind your friend and having it assist you in achieving your goals step by step, day by day. Like that is going to be something that no one can take away from you. So there's quite a bit of that in there that really helps you optimize all areas of your life and business.
Awesome. And for all the listeners, all that information of how to get in touch with Casey is going to be in the description of the episode. So you're not going to have to go too far. So Casey, final question before we end today's episode. What does success truly mean to you?
Success means how I feel. What am I feeling? Do I feel excited, lit up? Do I have energy when I start my day? Do I feel like I've made a difference and a contribution? So to me, it's really totally changed because before I would have answered the metrics. And when I, hit that 7 figures, it was like I've arrived, but I hadn't because I was burned out. So now in year 30, it is truly about how do I feel at all stages of the day. And if you can just take a little slice and be like, okay, man, I'm on purpose. I feel good. I'm lit up with my connections and conversations. Then I feel like I'm winning.
Love that. And again, this is something that I talk about often, that success is a feeling. It's not the size of your bank account. It's not the make and model of a car, the size of your house and how many bathrooms you have in it. That's just stuff. Success truly is a feeling inside of you. And anyone can feel successful at any level of business, whether you're just starting out, you've plateaued, and you're rising to the top. So I love that answer. And Casey, just really appreciate your transparency, your vulnerability, and everything that you brought to the episode. So grateful to have you on the show today. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. So everyone, again, if you want to get in touch with Casey, all of that information will be in the description of the episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.